and hello from Taipei. So if you watched part 1 of the Q&A, you will already know that I ended up having to separate the video into 2 separate videos because it was just going to be way too long, and nobody's got time at this time of the year to sit through an hour video. I mean, maybe if you're wrapping presents, it would be a good thing to watch, I guess, but you can still do that with 2 parts. If you want to watch them back to back, whatever. Anyway, so this is part 2. These, if I'm not mistaken, are the YouTube questions. So thank you to those of you who submitted the questions. If you don't see community tab posts from me, it is because you are not subscribed to my channel, and I would love to have you back here. I am getting so close to 5,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, it doesn't cost you anything, but it really helps me out, and I would love to hit that 5,000 goal by the end of the year. So click the subscribe button down below and the notification bell, and that way you will know every time I upload a video, and that way you will see my community tab posts, which sometimes I post about sales from like Fashion File and things like that. Certainly when we get into like Nordstrom Anniversary, all those kind of things, as well as when I ask for questions like this. So make sure you click those buttons, and let's get into part 2 of the Q&A. Even though the Dior Bobby Bag is not a popular style, what are your thoughts on it, and have you ever considered getting it? So I do like the Dior Bobby Bag in theory. Do I like that buckle shape that they have on it? No, because once somebody has said what that looks like, you can never unsee it. So I personally, for that shape bag, would 100% buy the Fendi Come On bag, which I had and I've subsequently sold only because I just was reaching for another bag in my collection that served the same purpose. So I would say the Dior Bobby Bag and the Fendi Come On bag are very, very similar in shape, in size, in utility, all of those things. The Come On bag doesn't have that phallic looking clasp, and it is a much better price. So I think that if you're looking, as much as I do really love Dior bags, and I think Dior bags are fantastic, their resale value is not that Fendi has great resale value either, but the fact that you could probably get a Fendi Come On bag for somewhere between 50 to, maybe 2/3 the price of a Dior Bobby bag. I think that if you're looking for that shape, which I love that sort of satchel bag shape, I would 100% steer you towards the Fendi Come On bag and probably not the Dior Bobby bag. Ooh, I love this question. How do you know what a gently used luxury item should cost? And thank you for your content. Well, you're very welcome. In general, I would say just to do some research. I don't know if you're asking this question from the perspective of, is what somebody is asking for something, is it too much? Or if you're asking from the perspective of, I have something and I want to sell it, so how much should I price it as? But I guess I will just say what I go through, I guess, when I'm selling bags. So the 2 times I've done my vlog sale, generally what I will do is I will go on to resale websites, so a Fashion File, a Rebag, even a Vestiaire, even though I don't like Vestiaire. But I will go on to some of those like larger platforms and see what they're selling them for. I will also then usually go on to eBay and kind of see what prices are there if I can find, the item. Then I will always make it much less than that because, for example, I think that Fashion File, their prices, even though prices in general on pre-loved items have come down and that bubble has kind of burst from where it was, during COVID and for probably the year to maybe 2 years after COVID, their prices are still, I think, very high. What I totally don't get, and this is totally off topic here, but somebody please explain to me, why would I buy, for example, a Dior friendship bracelet. For retail or more than retail, when I can just go to the Dior website and buy it myself for retail, I've just never understood that. I mean, do people not know that most of these things can be bought online? I mean, outside of Chanel and Hermes, well, even Hermes has a website. I mean, granted, you can't buy any bags off of there unless you're a bot. But yeah, I mean, most luxury retailers now have a website where you can buy everything on there. So I just, like I said, maybe there needs to be some education for people. But yeah, I think, do your research, Google, see what prices, there are out there. I think in general, those of us in the luxury community, when we are selling, for example, in a vlog sale or privately, we will absolutely 100% be selling less than retail, unless you're talking about a highly coveted piece, right? So, for example, if you're selling in Hermes, Birkin, or Kelly, it's going to be over retail. Now, is it over retail for what you would pay, for example, like I said, on Fashion File? No. Maybe instead of it being a 100% markup, maybe it's a 50% markup above retail, something like that. So, that it's kind of a win-win for both parties. And I guess that's how I look at it when I sell things is, if I went to Fashion File and got a quote from them, what would they offer me? What are they selling it for? And then I sort of maybe go somewhere in between, but closer to probably what my quote was, right? So, Fashion File is 100% going to give me less than what I can sell it for privately, but I'm also not going to charge as much as they would charge for the item. So definitely, like I said, look on those sites. I would 100% join some Facebook groups. If you're not on some of the luxury Facebook groups, I would 100% join some of those. If I remember, I'll try to list some names of them in the description box, because I think that's a really good way to get prices. I think in general, people on Facebook price things pretty fairly, so I think that could be a good gauge as well. So anyway, I hope that answered your question. My dear subscriber, Linda asks, living in New York, do you go to plays, concerts, or sporting events? Concerts, no, just because one, they are ridiculously expensive. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, there would be some people that maybe I might want to see. I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of out of my concert. Now that I think about it, I never really went to that many concerts. I mean, even when I was younger. Plays, we have gone to some. Again, those are also very, very expensive. And we could do a better job of doing some of the online lotteries that they do now for tickets. You don't even have to go anymore. Like it sort of is a no-brainer. I mean, it doesn't take any effort, I guess is my point, to do lotteries now. Before, when you were going to Broadway shows and you wanted to try to get a lottery ticket for the show, you had to go the day of the show and stand in line, and you'd get a number or whatever, and then you come back at another time and they draw. Like, there was effort that you had to put in. You had to work for it. Now you can just go online. So we should probably do that more. I tend to go with a friend of mine who is able to get tickets at a discounted rate. So generally I go with her. So we have seen some really good shows. And then sporting events, absolutely. And I do that generally with the boys because I'm a huge sports fan and David really isn't. So that's always something that I do with both Nick and Jack. So even when we visited here, I made it a point. We always went to, depending on the season that we were here, either a pro basketball game or an MLB game, if we were here during summer or whatever. Nick and I recently, we went to a Royals New York Yankees game during the regular season, kind of towards the end of the regular season. And then the Yankees and the Royals played in the division. Was it the division playoff series? And we were able to get tickets for that. A very dear friend of mine who lives here, who is I guess she is my oldest childhood friend, her partner has season tickets and he was going to be gone. And so he ended up selling us his tickets at face value, which was fantastic because otherwise they would have been like $1,000 a piece. So that was super fun. And that was the game they won during the series. Kansas City did. So that was kind of a hard thing for me because obviously we live here. So, you know, if the Yankees aren't playing the Royals, I'm 100% going to root for the Yankees. But I'm sorry, my heart still lies with the Royals when it comes to something like that. So we were sporting Royals jerseys and we were cheering them on, and, you know, lots of people giving us side eyes because, you know, we were in very much Yankees territory where we were sitting. We had fantastic seats, like almost directly behind home plate. They were chef's kiss. So anyway, love a good sporting event, have done a ton of those, and certainly will continue. I love this question from Jackie because I think a lot of people, I mean, you don't really think about it until you live here. So she says, so we all buy groceries. In New York, do you actually go to the grocery store where you live? Here in Texas, we have space and cars. New York always looks cramped and no space. In Europe, my family would just get food daily and in smaller quantities compared to our Costco shopping ways. I see shopping vlogs, but what about just stuff? Great question. And I think that I will answer the question very differently than most New Yorkers. So I would say most New Yorkers shop the way you talked about your family who live in Europe, right? They do either kind of a daily shop or maybe an every couple day shop where they go to the local grocery store and kind of buy what they need for the next few days. And that's what they buy and that's what they use. Coming from Kansas City, and like you said, in Texas, I'm used to shopping at Costco and filling up my trunk and coming home and unloading it and putting it in my huge pantry and having my outdoor refrigerator and my extra outdoor freezer that's in the garage. So that's the way I'm used to shopping. And I will say that shopping at a local New York grocery store is very expensive. So for example, actually, I just went before I started filming because I needed a few more things to make Thanksgiving dinner. And I bought, what did I buy? I bought a thing of sour cream. I bought some butter. I bought a Jiffy cornbread mix. I bought a little mini birthday cake, total side story. We'll take that off because I wouldn't have normally bought that. That was because we have a guest here whose birthday it is today, and I just found out about it. So if I take that off, I bought 2 things of Boursin cheese. If you take off what I bought, it was like $25 for that. So buying at a local grocery store, and the grocery store that I go to, which is kind of close to where we live, is probably one of the more reasonable grocery stores in the area. Now, if you want decent prices, I try to shop at Trader Joe's, but it's not that it's hard to go to. There's not that far from where we live. I mean, I take the bus there and then I take the bus back, and taking the bus back isn't bad because it literally lets me off like literally across the street from our building. And Trader Joe's prices are the same across the United States. So for example, if I order something off of, let's say, the Target website here in New York, it will be 50% more than what it would be if I ordered that same item from the Target website in Kansas City. So prices even between, like I said, Target and Walmart, etc., out here are definitely more. But Trader Joe's is harmonized across the entire United States. So the same orange chicken, frozen orange chicken that everybody buys from Trader Joe's, which I think is like $4.99, maybe it's $5.99 now, I don't remember, per bag, is the exact same price in Kansas City as it is here. So that's fantastic. But we shop mostly at Costco and at Walmart. So luckily David rents a car at least once a month, sometimes a couple times a month, because he's doing business where he's traveling to visit clients, etc. And so generally I will go with him, and a lot of it is in New Jersey. And so there's Sam's, and I mean, there's a Costco actually here, and I do go to the one that's on the island. it's more expensive than it is in Kansas City. I wouldn't say significant. I feel like everything's like $1 more. So like if it was $9.99 in Kansas City, it'll be $10.99 here in Manhattan. But we essentially do that shopping. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have a decent amount of storage here. I mean, I have a walk-in pantry, which a lot of people can't say. I would venture to guess that probably 90% of New Yorkers can't say they have a walk-in pantry. So I do have a decent amount of storage. The one thing that I really don't have a lot of room to store is frozen items. And we keep debating getting like an extra little mini fridge, freezer, something, because right now I just have like that bottom. So we have a French door refrigerator freezer. And because I am so used to having, like I said, I had a full side-by-side, you know, one of our older refrigerators out in the garage, and I had a stand-up freezer in the garage. I was used to being able to store a ton of things. So I have to be really choosy about what I bring home from a frozen standpoint. But yeah, I would say 95% of my grocery shopping is still done at Sam's, Super Walmart, and Costco. 2 more questions. I'm trying to word this in the kindest way possible. When did you start changing your hair? Are you wearing a wig? Please ignore the question if it's a sensitive topic for you, just wondering if you're okay. Well, first of all, thank you for your concern. I appreciate it. I have talked in a couple of videos that I have suffered from extreme hair loss. In fact, I just put a video up on my other channel that really talks all about it and what I'm doing to stop the shedding and help promote new hair growth. But no, I am totally fine. My hair loss is related to my very quick weight loss that I had over the last 6 months. And so it just was getting to a point where I just wasn't happy with the way my bio hair, because I do still have bio hair, and go watch that hair loss video because you'll see what my hair looks like, because I'm wearing my bio hair, or I'm showing my bio hair in the video at the beginning. And then I do show some pictures of what my hair really used to look like before I started using extensions, and then before this very significant hair loss back when I was like in my late 20s, early 30s. Meredith made she follows me on my other channel too, and she's like, wow, you had a lot of hair. I did. So no offense taken. But yeah, like I said, I have talked about it before, and just as a result of very rapid and significant weight loss, and thankfully the shedding has now really stopped, and it's just kind of my normal shedding now, and my hair is coming back. But as I mentioned in my hair loss video, you know, new hair grows out of your scalp. So, you know, for hair to grow from here down to here at half an inch a month, which is about what my hair grows, that's kind of standard, you know, kind of the average growth of hair. You know, it's going to take 2 years to get 12 inches. So I'm going to be rocking these for a while. And to be honest with you, I'm totally fine with that. Like, I love it. I love that I can change up my style, my color, my length, whatever I want at the snap of a finger or a flip of my head. All right, the last question, which is actually 2 questions. Now that you have been living in New York for a while, how do you feel about the city, and are you planning to stay? Second to handbags, what is your biggest passion and or area of interest? So let me start with that one first, and then we'll end with talking about New York. I would say probably my biggest passion outside of handbags and luxury and fashion, I guess I'll throw fashion into there too, is music. I wish I would actually do more of it. So I used to sing growing up. I did a lot of musical theater. I sang in choir, a traveling choir, concert choir in college. And I've always thought about kind of getting back into kind of community musical theater. Would I do it here? 100% no. The competition would be fierce, and, you know, I'm a decent singer. I'm not, you know, I don't think I could really compete for a part here in the city, even on a community level. But I love to sing. I sang to my children, you know, all while they were growing up. I love to sing in the car, which, you know, now I can't really sing in the car, but yeah, so I would say music. And I guess really sports. I'm a huge sports fan, as I kind of talked about answering the previous question. I grew up, my dad was one of those, guys who would have, the radio going with one game and watching another game on the TV. And he had season tickets to the University of Wisconsin football, basketball, and hockey. And I have really fond memories of watching games and, spending Sundays watching NFL games and Saturdays watching college football games. And it really warms my heart. I love watching both of my boys play sports. They both grew up playing baseball. Nick is still playing baseball. He plays for the high school team here. And so I do love sports. I do love watching it. I was glued to the TV for the World Series. I am a huge fan of March Madness when it comes to college basketball. I'm not really a big pro basketball fan. I'm not really an NBA girl, but I love college basketball. And then your other question are, what are my thoughts about living in New York, and do we have plans to stay here? We love it here. It really is amazing. I have seen such tremendous growth in both Nick and Hannah. I would say especially Hannah, though. She really has blossomed here and just really loves her independence and being able to go places without having to ask me to take her somewhere. And I think they're learning things that they would never have learned living in suburbs of Kansas City, and seeing the diversity. And they have such a diverse group of friends too. And I think it's really invaluable to have that experience. And just like I said, learning a lot of kind of street knowledge and street smarts kind of thing. And I don't mean that from, the standpoint of like the things are bad or dangerous or whatever. They're learning to do things a lot more independently than I think, like I said, they would have if we were still in Kansas City. As far as staying here, I don't know that I've shared this on this channel, but our oldest daughter, Morgan, who currently lives in Chicago, is moving here. Actually, she's going to be watching Nick and Hannah for sort of the last part of when David and I are in Asia. And so she'll be here, which is incredible. Now we just need to get Jack here. So there's definitely one more thing to keep me here. The fact that, now we have 3 of our 4 children here. I don't know that I would want to retire here, or maybe not retire, because, retiring, I still hope that I'm very active and whatever. But do I want to be an 85-year-old woman living in the city? Probably not. I really have a hard time seeing, older people in the city, struggling to get on the bus with a walker and, walking down the side. I don't think that that's very conducive when I don't think that the city is a very kind place to older people who struggle with mobility and things like that. So I think when I get to that time of my life, I hope to be maybe someplace else. But for at least the foreseeable future, I think that we will stay put. And, will we live in this particular place? I don't know. I think we both kind of realize that I don't know that I love living in a high-rise building. I mean, there are definitely pros to it. I love that, we've got a doorman and that gives a sense of security, and I would never worry about, break-ins or things like that you may have to worry about if you live in like a brownstone townhome kind of situation. But I also don't like that we have multiple neighbors. I mean, we've got great neighbors. We also have one that's not so great. But it just, like I said, there's pros and cons to it. So David and I have talked about that, maybe once the twins are, in college and not maybe coming back home anymore. So, maybe when they're partway through college, or, maybe after they graduate college, something like that, that maybe we would sell this place and buy maybe like a brownstone, more of like a townhome, so more of a single family kind of unit. I mean, yes, you're still going to have neighbors on both sides of you because that's how brownstones are, but it's definitely more of a feeling of a home as opposed to living in a condo or a co-op, or, you know, if you're renting an apartment. Even though in New York, we call all of these things apartments, even if you own them. It's a weird concept, which I didn't understand really before I lived here, but you will hear anybody will say, oh yeah, I live in an apartment. That doesn't mean they're renting. It just means that if you live in if you're not living in a brownstone or a townhome, that's like more of like a single thing, you live in an apartment, but you could own it. And you could own it either in the version of a condo or in a co-op like we do. So anyway, but co-ops are really hard to understand, so it's just easier to say apartment. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Q&A. I know I loved hearing your questions, and hopefully that helped you get to know me a little bit better and kind of what's going on in our lives lately. If you enjoyed it, please give the video a thumbs up. It does help the algorithm. And if you have not subscribed, like I said, next time I'm reaching out for questions for a Q&A, you'll see the community tab. So make sure you click the subscribe button and the notification bell below. If you have not had enough of me yet, there'll be another video in the corner over here for you to watch. And wherever you are, I hope you're having an amazing day or evening. And I will see you, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.